Next, we're going to go into the Saudi Professional League. So basically, I'm excited to talk about this. A lot of people, we're all going to be getting into understanding this league because it's going to be the next big thing. So first, we're going to go into it. Me and you, Albert, we're just going to go back and forth with the things that we have learned about this league
Yeah.
and the things we are excited about and the things we're hoping to follow and kind of along as the league progresses. First of all, it's called the Saudi Professional League or the Russian Saudi League. A few things that I did found out from that is basically the Russian Saudi League. The Russian is the sponsors of the league since 2022, and this is
Oh, okay.
basically a real estate division of the Saudi Professional Investment Fund or the Saudi Public Investment Fund, rather the PIF, the
Yeah.
real estate version. So when we go into this league, you know it's Saudi, it's Saudi money everywhere around it. Basically, there are four teams owned by the Saudi Public Investment Fund, which is basically, for anyone that knows, it's kind of like a sovereign wealth fund. It's like an investment group by the government of Saudi Arabia that is kind of pumping and funneling money into this league to get it prominent. And one interesting thing that I found is that out of basically there are 18 teams currently in the Saudi Professional League.
So
And
for this upcoming season,
for this
yeah.
upcoming season, there are 18 teams. And basically, the way it works for is that there are four teams that are going to be relegated in the league as well. And the interesting point about what I found is that there are four teams out of the 18 teams that are currently run and managed by the PIF, which is the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia. And they're the four big teams you're going to be hearing most of the transfers coming in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting enough, which is Al Hilal, Al Ittihad, Al Nasir, and Al Ali. Basically, I'm going to get you to talk about the format of the league, and then I'm going to go into kind of try my best to list out all 18 teams in the
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia League.
No, it's been fun just doing the research on this league, right? Because it's definitely something that I want to be invested in, even if it's not watching every game, but just like following up on scores and just seeing how everything plays out. So the league is going to start same time as the Premier League, the 11th of August, and it basically runs like the same length as the Premier League. It goes until May of next year. So last season they actually had 16 teams. So this year they're actually going up by two, like adding two more teams. So that's where what you're saying about like the four teams being relegated is coming from. So four teams will be relegated from last season, but going forward, only three teams will be relegated.
Oh, so there are
And
new teams that were created that actually led to four teams being relegated last season. Is that what happened?
um, I think because how does it work again? They're promoting two.
Two
Oh wait, how
teams?
is it? Two teams, four people promoted. Oh, actually, I think this is how it's happening. So two teams are actually going to be relegated from last season,
Okay.
and then they are going to promote four teams in.
Oh,
So
okay.
so there were 16 teams, right? If you remove two, that is 14. If you
14
add four, that makes it 18. So I think that's how they're going to. So that's how this year is going to become 18 teams in the league instead of just
instead
16
of
that it
actually
was.
16. Okay, that's what I
Yeah,
was kind of trying to understand. So right now we have
yeah,
18 teams. It was 16. But what
yeah,
happened is they relegated two and they promoted four teams. So now we have
yes.
18 teams in the league.
Yes,
Okay,
so
yeah, yeah,
going forward from this season, it will be three teams that will be relegated instead of like two. So it
two.
will be three teams that will be relegated to like Division One, and then the top two teams will qualify for the AFC Champions League, which is the Asian Football Confederation Champions League group stage. So that's that. So for this upcoming season, there will be per team instead of just playing 30. So you'll be playing like 17 at home and 17 away. So yeah, that's how it would be for this year. And yeah, I'm definitely excited to see who would come up as the champions this year.
Oh, absolutely. Me too. First time going into the league. So if you hear me or mispronounce stuff, not be sure about information. We're all learning here.
Oh yeah. Oh
Anybody
yeah.
that has information on how to properly pronounce things, any kind of new information interesting, can always comment or leave any information on the social media pages or on the YouTube page or wherever you get this podcast. I'm totally open to learning about this league. You might as well get on it because they're serious about actually having top quality soccer in their country. So I'm also serious about actually figuring out what's going on here. I'm going to go quickly just as we go through this just to list all current 18 teams, just in general, just to list it, just to do a little exercise on it, the stadiums that.
Did you wanna like do a brief overview of like the league history before we get into
Um,
that, or
yeah, I can do a
yeah?
quick overview of the league history
Yeah.
because
Just
it,
like get people, to know what the league, is about, I guess.
yeah. So basically, I was just looking into this, basically how the league started. From what I found here, it started way back um, in about 1976, right?
Okay.
That's I think
Yeah,
when the
yeah.
league actually started and they created their Saudi Premier League and the first division for the league. And obviously, back then they had like a double round robin league competition where the top four qualified for the final knockout stage called the Golden Box. And
Ooh, okay.
it was kind of an interesting system for several years. Then they had a competition. I'm guessing it was fun,
Okay.
but then it became fully professional and left that system in 2007. And
Oh, okay.
as for 2008, basically they started the new round robin, the new system where you play every team at home and away. And also they got into the AFC Champions League, which is the Asian Football Confederation Champions League. Um, and they currently get four teams into their league as well. And they also have something called the King Cup. For people that follow cup competitions, it's something similar where they play a cup um, within um, within the season where you can
Yeah.
actually be the winner. And most importantly, obviously, a lot of people didn't pay attention to this league. It's been ongoing like that from 2008. But over the last 2, 3 years, they have made a huge push to get real top players into the league as well. So that's basically where the league is at right now, as pushing itself from just being just any other Asian league to kind of competing internationally. And I'm very curious to see if as Saudi is doing this, if Qatar is going to do it and other countries that can afford it around them. So that would be
Yeah.
curious. But one thing I would say is that the level at which they are getting these players out, there are going to be interesting things we will talk about later that could actually um, happen. As you have stated earlier, there are 18 clubs. It runs from August to May, and you play each other one home and away. The way uh, it is set up, right? The
Yeah.
teams are ranked by position based on
Yeah.
points. So basically, the way we all understand it, the highest points, 3 points for a winner, one for a draw, zero for a loss. Then there is if two teams finish equal on points, the way they are set up is the head-to-head record between the tied teams now
Ooh.
becomes how you actually win
Like kind of like the
the
tiebreaker.
the
Okay.
tiebreaker is head to head first and then goal difference. So I think that might be a
Mm.
little different from something like the Premier League where it's
Yeah.
goal difference
Goal
next,
difference. Yeah.
not head
Yeah.
to head. So they have employed the head to head. So you better when you someone is your competition, you better come prepared
Oh yeah.
instead of hoping that you score 7 goals against the worst team. So I actually like that personally in terms of the history and the format each in which they operate in the Saudi League for that. Before we get into the transfers, I'm just going to, as I said, list out all 18 teams to the best of my ability. And I'm very curious. While I watch the games, the pronunciation for this will all become clearer. But
Oh
for
yeah.
now, we're just going to look at the names, the cities in which they are located, right? the names of the stadiums and the capacities of the stadiums, just to get an idea of how big these are. The first team, and this is mainly in alphabetical order because most of the teams actually starts with an A, which would be
Yeah,
a
they're all
very,
like owl, like AL, like owl.
they're
Yeah,
all
yeah,
owl.
yeah.
The first team is not actually an owl, and the last team
Oh,
is not an
really?
owl. There are
Oh,
two teams
okay,
that are not an owl. There's ABHA, which is ABHA. So ABHA,
okay,
they play in Aber, which is the name of the city, and they play at the
okay.
Prince Sultan bin Abdul Aziz Stadium, which
All
has a
right.
20,000 seater capacity. The second team, I'm going to go alphabetical order, but this is one of the bigger teams, is Al
Yeah.
Ali, and they play in Jeddah, and they play at the King Abdullah Sports City, and this has a capacity of 62,345. There is Al Ittifaq. They play at Dammam at the Prince Mohammed bin Fahd Stadium with a capacity of 35,000. There is Al Fateh. They play at Al Hassan or Hufuf, and they play at the Prince Abdullah bin Jalawi Stadium for a capacity of 26,000. So I think here
Okay.
now the stadium at Jeddah, that's 62,000. The King Abdullah Sports City for Al Ali seems to be a very high capacity stadium. The
Yeah. Is
next
that like
one,
one of the biggest?
I think that is one. Yeah, it's actually the biggest. Oh, actually the second biggest, or one of the
Okay.
biggest actually.
Yeah.
Then the other one would be Al Fahad. They play at Mahma. I'm sure I got that wrong, but it's the Al Mahma Sports City Stadium, and that's a 7,000 seater. So this would
Yeah.
probably be one of your smaller cities. There's Al Hazem. They play at Al Ras at the Al Hazem Club Stadium at 8,000 seater, probably the smaller stadiums as well. Then there's the bigger clubs like there's Al Hilal, and this play at Riyadh, and that's at the King Fahd International Stadium with 68,752. That will be the biggest stadium in the league, and that's where Al Hilal plays. And then Al Ittihad plays at Jeddah, the King Abdullah Sports City Stadium for 62,345, which is the same stadium that Al Ali plays at as well. So Al Ali and Al Ittihad play at the same stadium as well. So that's kind of like an AC Milan, Inter Milan thing going on.
Oh yeah, like playing at the San Siro. Yeah.
Yeah, something similar. There's Al Khali. Al Khalid, they play at Sayhad at the Prince Mohammed bin Fahd Stadium in Dammam, and that's a 35-seater stadium. That's actually the same stadium as Al Ittifaq. So Al Ittifaq and Al Khalid play at the same stadium as well at the Prince Mohammed bin Fahd Stadium. There is Al Nazir. This they are in located in Riyadh, and they play at the Al Awal Park, 25,000 seater for Al Nazir. There's also Al Ukdud, and they play at Najran at the Prince Hatlu Stadium, the 12,000 seater, and there's also Al Raid in Buraida in the King Abdullah Sports City Stadium for 25,000. Why do I feel like I've seen that name somewhere? King Abdullah
Yeah.
Sports City Stadium.
Yeah. I think that was the one with Al Etihad in it. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's the one with Al Etihad, but that was a 62,000 seater. This is a
Yeah.
25,000 seater in a different stadium. It's
Oh, okay.
possible they named the stadiums by the same person, but in different cities.
Oh,
Al
okay. That's
Rahid.
interesting.
Yeah, it might be a different stadium named after King Abdullah, but it seems to be a different city and a different seater capacity for
Oh, okay.
Al Raid. Then there's Al Riyadh. They play out of Riyadh, and they play in the Prince Turki bin Abdul Aziz Stadium, a 15,000 seater. There's Al Shabab out of Riyadh. They play in the Prince Faisal bin Fahd Stadium, a 22,500 seater. There's also another one, Al Tawun from Buraida at the King Abdullah Sports City Stadium for 25. So two stadiums, two people share the King Abdullah Sports City Stadium. The one in Buraida, two people share it is Al Rahid and I Taiwan. And then there's
Okay.
another one with the same name, the King Abdullah Sports City Stadium. right? But this one is in Jeddah and it's
Jeddah.
62345, and that's Al
Yeah.
Ittihad and Al
Al
Ali
Ali. Yeah.
actually share that. So that's interesting. That's why that kind of makes sense. So two people share, there's the same name, but two different cities and two teams share each of them. The other one is Al Tai, and they are based out of Hail, and they play the Prince Abdul Aziz bin Said Stadium, and it's a 12,000 seater. There's Al Weda from Mecca, and they play at the King Abdul Aziz Stadium, 38,000 seater. That's a bigger stadium in Mecca. And
Okay.
then the last one that is not an Al is Damak, and they play from the location from Kamis Mushai, and it's called, the stadium is the Prince Sultan bin Abdul Aziz Stadium, Aba, for 20,000 seaters. So they share the same stadium with Aba. So the two teams that are not Owls
Yeah.
share the same stadium,
Yeah.
Aba and Damak. So that will be interesting to get into all of this as the season goes. But that will be the 18 teams competing in 2003, 2004 season. And I'm going to let you get into the transfers into the league so far and the big topics coming into the league.
Yeah, all right. So for the transfers, I think I'll just go kind of by, how they've been going on. So kind of like the first ones we heard about. So that would be like Karim Benzema going from Real Madrid to Al Ittihad. So he actually went there on his free transfer from Real Madrid. His contract ran out, and he just chose to join them. And then the next one was N'Golo Kante. Went from Chelsea to Al Ittihad, same as Benzema. So he also left like on a free transfer. And then the third transfer that happened was Ruben Neves from Wolverhampton Wanderers. He went to Al Hilal. And then after that was Kaludi Koulibaly from Chelsea. He went to Al Hilal as well, joining Ruben Neves there. And then Edward Mendy from Chelsea as well. Chelsea has a lot of players, yo, that left.
They
So
have a lot of
Edward
players they need to get
Mendy,
rid of.
yeah, I guess. So Edward Mendy, I guess I haven't been saying how much they went for. So Edward Mendy went from Chelsea to Al Ali. He went for 16 million pounds.
Yeah.
And then Al Ettifaq, they got a new coach, Steven Gerrard. That was at the start of like July. And then Al Nassr, they got Inter Milan's from Inter Milan, the midfielder Marcelo Brozovic
Yeah,
from
Brozovic.
Croatia. So he joined them for 18 million euros. And still, at the start of July, Jota from Celtic, he went to Al Ittihad for 25 million pounds. And then there was Roberto Firmino, went from Liverpool to Al Ali on the free transfer. And then there was uh, Milinkovic Savic from Lazio. He went to Al Hilal for 40 million euros. And then there was Seko Fofana. He's a midfielder. He went from Lens to Al Nassr for 25 million euros. There was Alex Telles from Manchester United, left back. Went from Manchester United to Al Nassr for about 4 million euros. And then there was Malcolm, a forward. He went from Zenit St. Petersburg to Al Hilal for 60 million euros. I think that's the most I've seen so far.
Yeah.
And then there was a Jordan Henderson, Liverpool's captain. He went to Al Ettifaq, so the same team that Steven Gerrard coaches. So he went there for 12 million pounds. And then there was Musa Dembele, a forward from Lyon. He went there. He went to Al Ettifaq on a free transfer. And then there was Riyad Mahrez. He went from Manchester City to Al Ali for about 35 million euros. And then the I think the one of the most exciting players we'll be getting this year in the name of Sir Alan Maxima. He went from Newcastle to Al Ali for like an undisclosed fee. They didn't put how much he went for. but that would definitely be like an interesting player to watch there. And then Fabinho went from Liverpool to Al Ittihad for 40 million pounds, and then Sadio Mane, another big name. Sadio Mane went from Bayern Munich to Al Nassr for about 24 million pounds. So those are the transfers so far that have been completed to the Saudi Pro League. There's still talks like ongoing for a few more players. Possibly more deals could be done before the season starts. So, but so far, like that is a solid chunk
Confirmed.
of players. Yeah, moving from like Europe's top five leagues, going to the Saudi league. So it definitely makes it now interesting because for me, I think the team I really want to watch play is Al Ali, where
Yeah.
they will have Roberto Firmino, they will have Mares, and they'll have Sam Maxima because it actually works out. So Maxima plays on the left, Firmino plays to the middle, Mares plays from the right. So that team I actually want to see how they play, like at least offensively. So for sure, I think that's the team that I'll be looking out for.
Oh yeah, I think it's interesting because now I think one thing that is happening is that they're getting younger players. When you're getting guys like Alan, San Maximan,
Yeah,
Sadio Mane is relatively younger. Malcolm is relatively younger, coming from Zenit.
yeah.
Uh,
Even Ruben Neves is
Even
like
Ruben
26.
Neves,
Yeah,
yeah, is
yeah,
relatively younger. So that's actually going to increase the excitement of the league. And just to wrap up what you said, the interesting thing, as I said earlier, is that the four main teams that signed all the big names are the four teams owned by the PIF, the Public
yeah. Fun.
Investment
Yeah,
Fund of Saudi Arabia. So I'm just going to, you already conclude, like summarize basically Al Ali's signings, which makes them
yeah,
interesting. They got Roberto Firmino, they got Mares, Alan San Maximan, and they also got Edward Mendy in goal. Those
yeah.
are the big names in the team. I will go through the other ones just to summarize. Al Hilal. So Al Hilal also has ex Benfica coach Jorge Jesus as their
Okay.
coach. He was brought in this summer as well. So that would be interesting, getting a top flight coach to manage the players. Um, they have signed Ruben Neves,
Yeah.
Kalidou Koulibaly, and Sahih Milinkovic Savic. Malcolm also is joining that team. So a decent, recognizable names in Al Hilal. Al Ittihad is going to be coached by Nuno Espirito Santo.
Yeah.
For people that follow the Premier League, you know him as the ex-boss of the Wolves and Spurs as well. And this team, Al Ittihad, is actually the defending champions of
Yeah.
the Saudi Professional League. And not only are they the defending champions, they got a really rich history. They were formed in 1927 and is the oldest team in Saudi Arabia. And Al Ittihad as well, they would also have the services of Benzema, Karim
Oh
Benzema,
yeah. Oh
and
yeah.
on Kosa and General N'Golo Kante
N'Golo Kante.
in the
Yeah.
midfield. And they also have, for people that remember from West Brom, Ahmed Hegazi in defense. And they also brought in Fabinho for their midfield. So the names that we recognize there, there's Karim Benzema, N'Golo Kante, and Fabinho mainly. And if you remember him, he's probably like 50 years old by now, Ahmed Hegazi as well. Also, there's Al Nazir, which popularly would have be the team that Ronaldo plays for, Cristiano Ronaldo. And this is also a traditionally really good team historically. They have won the championship 9 times.
Yeah.
Amongst the guys that we'll be seeing is Cristiano Ronaldo. They brought in Sadio Mane, so that will be fun. And they also have Brozovic in midfield and ex-Arsenal goalkeeper David Ospina and Alex Telles as well from Manchester United. The other notable teams with some interesting names that we might recognize, as you mentioned, Gerard signed as the coach of Al Ittifaq, and Al Ittifaq also signed Jordan Henderson as
Henderson.
well.
Yeah.
And also, the only other team that I could find a recognizable name was Al Shabab, that has a former Valencia player, Eva Banega.
Banega. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Banega. Yeah.
So
Long time.
there'll be interesting players, and we'll keep following this league as things unfold. I'm pretty excited about it. This is our first time discussing it. This is really my first time investigating the league and following it, and I'm sure there are going to be millions of people following this league. Not too long, if not billions, for the kind of stars and the might not be Premier League level football, but these guys that I'm looking at here in some of these teams are pretty exciting players. As you said, Al Ali, the front line is going to be fun. If those guys can't keep up, it's going to be interesting to see what Mares, Alans, and Maximan and Firmino does out there. You
Oh
have
yeah.
Al Nasir, Ronaldo, Sadio Mane combination would be interesting. You got Al Ittihad, you got N'Golo Kante, Karim the Dream, Fabinho, so and Esperanto as the coach as well, and we got like Al Hilal, which would be Kalidou Koulibaly, Ruben Neves, and Milinkovic, Savic, and Malcolm. So that to me, that team looks a little bit less name happy and
Yeah.
more players that might be interesting to watch. But I think there's still a lot of signings that are going to go in. Ziyech has been linked to them. Um,
Yeah.
Neymar possibly could still go there. There's lots of
Possible. Yeah.
there's a lot of players still linked. So I think there are more things that are going to happen once teams start offloading players and the league start actually starting before the deadline. Some of these players are going to make up their mind and find out that there's no space for me in this team anymore, and I gotta move and I gotta get going quickly. So that's going to be interesting to see.
So with these like influx of players, do you have a prediction for what the future of this
So
league will look like?
that's interesting. No, for me, I think this is going to be very interesting. And I take my prediction from this to just see how the golf situation between the PGA Tour, for anybody that knows or has seen the news, how the Live Golf kind of tournaments kind of destabilize the existing PGA Tour in the US. Respectable grown-ups, professionals, a lot of money, all right, they would actually choose the option to go play where they are rewarded accordingly. So I think I've seen this in golf where there was a whole lot of talk about the PGA not going to succumb, but right now they merged with the Live Golf to play together because obviously the PGA Tour wouldn't have been able to sustain their reputation and the standards and all that with that level of competition. So for the soccer part, I would say, and you're hearing it here, I think in the next few years, UEFA wouldn't be able to keep up. It's just not going to happen. They are going to find a way to keep their product at the highest level as it is. So my prediction would be in a few years that they would somehow allow the um, top Saudi league teams, right? And I think it's probably the four top teams, top Saudi league teams, to compete in UEFA competitions. They're going to find a way to bring it in a way that those players can still be involved in the European game. I'm not sure what model that's going to use, but they can't
Yeah.
keep this up. These Saudi guys are going to pick out the best players in the game, and the Champions League is not going to have the same uh, uh, kind of
It's
appeal without
yeah,
the competition.
it's definitely not a far-fetched thing to predict, right? Because like the way like UEFA is right now, they already have the Champions League, the Europa League, and the Conference League, right? So
Yeah,
I feel like worst case scenario, you can see like Saudi teams playing like in the Conference League. Like they probably start from there. If you win
there,
the Conference
yeah.
League, you can
And
play
then
in the
if you
Europa
win it, you
League.
can go up to the next
Yeah,
league, stuff like that.
exactly. So it's not far-fetched, but like you said, with the influx of, European players going into the league, and I feel like, a player like Cristiano Ronaldo, like arguably one of the best players, right? Like, top five,
Yep,
arguably all time, when he decides to take his services to Saudi Arabia, I feel like that changed like
everything.
something in the momentum of, like transfers that are going there now. Before he went, there were a few players that already played in the league, that we knew of. But like when, a player of his caliber actually chooses to go there, like in this transfer window, it's ridiculous how many good players actually go in there now. So, and I think that just continues. And obviously, they offer players way more money too. So,
So,
that.
so why you say that? I wanted us to do an exercise, just a quick exercise. To me, that's actually interesting. Out of all the players so far that we know that has signed in Saudi Arabia,
Yeah.
how many top 10 players in the world do you see out there right now?
Top 10 players in the world.
Yeah,
Um, Benzema.
yeah. I'll definitely say Benzema is a top 10 player.
Yeah. Who
Benzema is
else
a top
can I
10
think of?
player.
Yeah, because like
Right?
he just won the Ballon d'Or like not too long
Yeah,
ago, right? So he
yeah,
can't be that
that
far
far
off.
off.
So
Yeah.
yeah. The only thing with him is that he's getting old. He's like 34, 35 now. So
Yeah, so
yeah,
for
that's
me,
the only
for me,
thing.
Benzema, at current form, in my opinion, is still a top 10 player, right? Then we go top 30.
Top 30?
Yep,
Top 30 for sure. I'll say, Cristiano Ronaldo. Like
that's
even as he's
two.
older now, for sure. I think, well, Mane didn't have the best season, but like at his best, you can put him like in the top,
Top 30.
like in the top 30. Yeah. Then Mahrez, like that's a top quality
Top
player right
30,
there.
yeah.
Yeah. There's
So
Mahrez.
four.
Who else can I think of off the top of my
N'Golo
head?
Kante for me would still make a top 30.
Yeah, like the only thing is that he's been injured, but like if
Injured a
he's
lot.
fit and he's
Fit.
playing, like
He's
yeah,
still a
N'Golo
top.
Kante is top 30, like
Yeah.
easy, right?
So that's
So
five players in this league with a possibly a top 30 talent or skill level, which not many leagues can say that. If we go back to differentiating it with Spain, France, Germany, obviously Premier League can maybe account for more than that. But when you
hmm.
start looking at it, they're taking a whole lot of top talents. And then if you go top 100, I would say about at least 10 here will probably
Oh
make
yeah,
top
like
100
if we go
players.
top 100, then there's a few more of them
Few
that will
more
be in there.
that will be.
So if we're predicting kind of like the trajectory of like the future, the kind of transfers that will be happening there, I feel
Yeah.
like a lot more players would be more open to like trying
Oh
out
yeah.
playing in the Saudi Pro League.
And a good payday doesn't hurt anybody.
Exactly, exactly. Because at the end of the day, these players they're all humans. They're trying to look out for their families, right? Trying to like
Sadio Mane has a
secure
new
the
Yeah, Sadio Mane has a new school he has to build for kids in Senegal.
exactly. So and you need money to be able to like do that, right? So it doesn't pay. I mean, it doesn't hurt to get paid while you're still playing the game that you love.
No, absolutely. I'm excited to go and see when you have that much talent. Then I absolutely want to see what's going on there. Thank you so much, Albert, for coming in. Any last words about what we're parting with our Fantasy Premier League, transfer so far, the Saudi Arabian League, and the final words?
No, for me, I'm just excited, man, because the season you think you have an idea like what is going to
Oh,
happen. Yeah, so it's always exciting at the start of every season to see how everything actually plays
everybody has
out.
a chance. Man, you can win the
Yeah,
league. It can be
exactly.
Arsenal.
It could be Arsenal, it could be Brighton,
It could
like
be Brighton. I'm telling you.
it could be anybody. So no, for me, I'm just excited to see how everything unravels. And yeah, even just following the Saudi Pro League for the first time, seeing how yeah, like who would win the league this season, how close it
I'm
would
learning
be.
about the league. I'm curious
Yeah,
to,
yeah, exactly.
finally we'll
So
get a little glimpse into Saudi culture and stuff like that. So that will be
yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, no, it'll be fun. This will be a good season. At least more things to do. So looking
I know,
forward to
I
it.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on. This is another episode of DI Sports. Just as a roundup, don't forget, subscribe, like, follow the social media platforms. For now, it's on Instagram and Twitter at the moment. And let's have a conversation. Let's enjoy sports. We'll be coming all season to drop content on here. We'll be having Albert on. We'll be having other people on. For the Fantasy Premier League, I'm hoping to have a league I'm on and following the progress and the players performing great. We can come on here and have conversations and talk about how we suck and how good we're playing.
Oh
Also,
yeah.
so that should be fun. This is the first year doing this. I'm excited about it, and hopefully we can all get into it and enjoy it as well. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you, Albert, for coming on, and we're gonna be doing a whole lot more of this.
All right, man. Thanks.